Louisville's 1999 Fairness Ordinance was really one of those defining moments in the movement and started that firestorm locally, statewide.
Folks could get fired at will just because somebody thought you might be gay. People could be denied access to a hotel, to a restaurant. People could and did lose their rental housing.
You couldn't help but be changed and transformed by this network of activists and legends and people.
It was a tremendously divisive battle in this community. Even the supporters said there's no way you're ever going to pass anti-discrimination protecting LGBT people.
I think it gave us the ability to really delve into the investigative process and to really combat discrimination in our community.
We passed it that night. Everybody was happy. I went back to my office. Steve Magre, who was president of the Board of Aldermen at the time, he said, I don't know if this means anything to you, but I signed tonight's ordinance with a purple pen in honor of you, and I've got it here if you want it. I said, well, of course I want the pen, you know, because purple is purple. Steve Magre, president of the Board of Aldermen, handed me that purple pen, and I still have it to this day.
So the tremendous victory in 1999 was a culmination of 15 years of work from the time we first approached city government and said that we wanted protections based on originally sexual orientation and eventually both sexual orientation and gender identity, because there wasn't a shred of protection for LGBTQ people.
The intersectional framework from which the Fairness Campaign built its movement to pass the Fairness Ordinance in 1999 was built on the bedrock of all injustices being seen as equal. Racial justice and immigrants' rights, poverty issues are all inherently interconnected to the struggle for LGBTQ liberation. And so that was what the co-founders like Carla Wallace and Jeff Rogers and Pam McMichael and so many others instilled in the organization itself that still moved it throughout all of its work.
That year, in 1998, George Unsold, Tina Ward Pugh, and Bill Allison were elected to the Board of Aldermen. And to be honest with you, I think that, and we won by such margins that the other Board of Aldermen members saw that we really had a mandate.
The community has to choose sides. Everybody in the city has to choose sides. Are you for fairness and justice for all people, or are you standing in the way with your silence or your opposition? And that push to get the community to change is the only thing that finally got the leaders to change.
And for any 21st century city to succeed, it must value all people, be a welcoming city, and certainly embrace diversity.
So I think that it also encouraged or allowed mayors since then to be able to be supportive without even thinking about it.
You know, you look a decade later, just about, when Mayor Fisher is first getting ready to take office, is running for office, you know, he made fairness, inclusion, diversity one of the key center stones of his campaign. And he immediately worked to start delivering on that promise, passing domestic partner benefits for city workers before marriage was legalized federally or in the state, making certain that his administration and he worked in an intentional way with the Fairness Campaign and our allies to get the Human Rights Campaign's Municipal Equality Index rating up from in the mid-60s to a perfect 100%.
When the ordinance was passed 20 years ago, the Human Relations Commission was given the charge to lead investigations and to basically put forth initiatives and efforts at combating discrimination and bias in the community. We've trained over 4,000 Metro employees in implicit bias so that they take off that bias when they engage with the public or when they engage with each other. And now with this Lean Into Louisville initiative taking forward, not only is Metro government looking at itself through this equitable lens, we're encouraging the community to have those tough talks to basically break down barriers. So we want to encourage people to take off your bias. You may have grown up with them, or you may not even know that you had them. And if you get rid of that bias, you treat people on a more human level.
That type of leadership and progress is the type of thing that says to the broader community all across the nation that this is a place where you can bring your families, where you can bring your loved ones, your partners, and feel safe, feel included, feel like the city is actually working to make it a place for fairness for everyone.
Together we can do this. Together we create a great connected community.
There's been tremendous work with communities, cities around the state deciding that they are going to be fairness cities. But we are fighting for a statewide law so that everyone is protected in Kentucky.
3 out of 4 Kentuckians live in a place, no fairness protections at all. We can't keep up with the movements now. I mean, Bowling Green, Elizabethtown, Somerset, Henderson, and Louisville got that 20 years ago. One of the first cities in the South, the first city in the Commonwealth of Kentucky to do so, still leading the way 2 decades later.
The heart and soul of Louisville, Kentucky is justice and is social justice. You cannot get around it, and a lot of people try to, but you cannot get around it.
It's about being human, it's about community, and it's about just moving forward.
One thing that's exciting to me, I live in the Clifton neighborhood, and when my partner and I walk down Frankfort Avenue, sometimes we will see same-gender young people holding hands. And we always feel this tremendous emotion of gratitude for all the people that have made that possible, because it really is a different community.
There were so many things that I never believed that I could do in and with my life based on my being gay. To see where we are now and where we can start looking forward and leaning into a Louisville that is even more inclusive.
And I think that we can celebrate the gains even as we continue to commit and recommit ourselves to the deeper levels of transformation that have to happen.